Well, I have Bryan Wilson, and not the Bryan Wilson. That's kind of a downer. I mean, you know, the Beach Boys' Bryan Wilson is world famous. This Bryan Wilson is on his way to becoming world famous. But he has come our way, and you've already heard him sing once. He's going to sing one more time on the show. Welcome, Bryan.
I'm glad to be here.
And I'm sure that there has been some mistaken identity from time to time,
Oh, yes, there has. There was one incident wherein CNN was planning to come to my house to do an interview. And so my mother had us cleaning up and all kind of things. And they called before they got there and said, now, how many albums have you done? I said, well, I did one. I said, I've been recording for about 4 years now. They're like, what? Yeah. This couldn't possibly be the Beach Boys. So
yeah, well, he's B-R-I-A-N, you're B-R-Y-A-N.
Correct,
right. And you're not from California, right?
No, no.
But anyway, moving on from your name. You've had a very interesting genesis as a singer.
Yes.
Was it your neighbor who heard you singing in the backyard, his eyes on the sparrow, when you were how old?
I was about 10 years old.
10 years old?
About 10 years old.
And well, tell us the story. What happened there?
Well, every day after school, I would come home and I would sing to my grass. And I would pretend
Excuse me? You'd sing to your grass.
To the grass.
Now, what grass are we talking about here?
Just the grass that grows in the down-home green grass.
Okay, the green grass, right? And so every blade was like a person in the audience.
Exactly. And whenever the wind would blow, that lets me know that they were really into it. They were moving and swaying. You know, a child's imagination
moving with the music
is endless.
So you'd sing to the grass all by yourself.
All by myself. And so one day my neighbor heard me and they said, you know, we should do something with him, you know, maybe, because if I wasn't waking them up early in the morning, I was singing late at night. So they said, you know, let's tape him. So they made a videotape of me and they sent it down to Jackson, Mississippi and to the record company Malaco Records, wherein Jerry Menery heard the videotape and seen it. And so they invited me to come down and to audition. At the time, I didn't know that I was auditioning. I just thought I was going on a family trip somewhere to sing. So I remember walking into the room and there were all these people there. So I kind of just didn't pay any attention to it. I was playing with my toys and different things like that. So they said, you know, Bryan, come over and sing. So he began to play the piano, and I sang His Eyes on the Sparrow. And so they were so impressed by it till they made a rendition of that particular song and placed it on an album with the Mississippi Children's Choir. So from there, it's kind of like what launched my interest into the gospel singing. This
kind of reminds me of Justin Bieber's story. I mean, he gets on YouTube and sings, you know, as an unknown kid from Stratford, Ontario.
Right.
And now he's the next
worldwide,
best thing, right?
Amazing.
Yeah. So you did this thing. It got a little bit of play. It made you sort of very well known as a 10-year-old singer. But every 10-year-old knows the day's coming when he's going to open his mouth and his voice is going to crack, right? And that happened to you.
It did. There was a time wherein I was traveling every weekend. Every weekend I was going somewhere singing or performing. And so I started hitting that stage of puberty. So I'll never forget, I went to the stage and they said, you know, never gonna have Bryan Wilson singing His Eyes on the Sparrow. So I came out, you know, singing, Why Should I Feel? And the audience was like, what happened to the little kid? You know, with the high voice, you had these high range. And so what would happen, I would still go to different concerts because they would have booked me, but I was still going through the voice change. And it brought such a depression because as a child, you know, you're singing, and then there were different people that were walking out in disappointment. There were occasions where I got booed off stage, you know, as a child, and I would cry, and it brought me to a place of depression because you kind of felt like, you know, Lord, you brought me to this industry and everyone was applauding me, you know, the little kid, it was so cute, you know, he's singing and he powerfully, but then I got to a point wherein it wasn't appreciated anymore, you know, this gift, this dream that I had, and it brought me to a very, very, very low point in my life, even to the point I was feeling like, you know, I didn't want to live because at that time I was living with a single-parent mother, my mother. She was a single-parent mother, and my father wasn't in the home at the time. He was a substance abuser and different things of that nature. So I really didn't have that male figure, if you will, you know, that godly male figure to instruct me, to let me know, hey, it's going to be okay. And so there were actual times. There was a time wherein I tried to commit suicide because I felt like, you know, Lord, you know what? I feel like you set me up for failure. You know, I felt like you set me up to come to an early demise, you know, in my career, my dream. But from that point, during that time of the voice change, during that time when the range left, I began to learn more about Jesus Christ. as a friend and a personal savior. And so from there, my relationship with him really intensified and became intimate. And so from that point, I relearned myself. I relearned how to sing again. And so he kind of brought me back into the scope of music ministry. And that's one reason why the album is titled A Second Coming, because I really feel that I was brought back to announce his second coming. You know, so he gave me another chance, which is a second coming as an artist, to announce the second coming of him coming back.
Well, there's been a few artists in the secular music scene who have gone through a voice change and done it successfully, the most famous of all being Michael Jackson.
Yes, yes.
But I didn't realize you had to kind of retrain your voice.
Oh, definitely, because it's two different voices.
Yeah.
It's actually two different voices. As a child, it's higher, it's softer,
right.
It's more agile. But as you become older, as a man, the vocal folds become heavier, so they're more difficult to move, they're more difficult to flow in arrangement. So you really have to relearn this voice because it's new, it's something new for you. So it's really a process that actually a lot of times takes years. They actually say that the male voice doesn't come to its peak until around the age of 34 or 35 where it's a little stable.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So there's hope for me.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a little bit past 35. A little past 35. Now, I was interested to read that you got a bachelor's degree, and then you spent a year working on a master's at Princeton?
That's correct.
In divinity?
Yes.
Now, did you finish that?
Well, actually, I have another year and a half. I did a year and a half at Princeton, and then from there I went to Columbia International University, and so which is located in Columbia, South Carolina.
Now it's kind of unusual for a budding gospel music star to be going to Princeton,
right?
An Ivy League university.
Right.
How'd that happen?
It was really kind of one of those things I did not plan for. I graduated Claflin University. Religion and philosophy was my major. I graduated with honors, and I felt, well, okay, I did that. I did the college thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and go full-time into music. But I put one application into a graduate school, which was Princeton. I kind of figured, okay, what are the chances, right? Yeah. Get into an Ivy League institution. And they called me back. They sent forth the acceptance letter. And so I went in, and it was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful experience. I had the opportunity to sit in class with Cornel West and some of the leading theologians of our time, and to hear their different perspectives on the Bible and just life philosophies. So it was really kind of like the gospel singer goes to college kind of thing. It was a world that I had no intentions on going into, but it really became really favorable.
Now we got about 5 minutes left. I want to hear from you growing up without a dad.
Yes.
A lot of young guys growing up without dads these days.
Yes.
In fact, the fatherlessness is a kind of a plague in our generation.
Really.
What's it like from the perspective of a young boy when he needs a dad to not have a dad there to just bounce things off of, let alone just be with?
It's very difficult. I can remember times growing up as a child, I used to hate Father's Day, actually. Yeah. You know, we would have Father's Day at church, and Father's Day, you know, they would bring their fathers and give them gifts and write poems, and I would sit in the back of the church and cry. Sometimes I'd be like, Mom, do I really have to go to church today? Because it was a constant reminder of that absence. It was a constant reminder of what my father was and what he was doing. And it left a void there. And that's one reason in my ministry, there are a lot of young guys and a lot of young children who tend to flock to me that, you know, ask me for advice, whether it be via internet or if they're in person, and I take the time out to respond to them because I realize that it is such an absence, such a void of the male figure a lot of times in our community. And a lot of times all children need, whether female or male, it's just that one encouraging word from that male figure to let them know, hey, you don't have to do that. There's a better way to go. There's another route besides the route that you're taking. You know, one decision can alter your life forever. So to be that influence, to be that godly influence, to let them know that there is another way, you know, it's very imperative. It's very imperative. So that's why I salute fathers who take care of their children. I salute fathers who make that change to take time out for their family.
Are you married?
No, I'm not.
Do you intend to get married at some point?
Yes, definitely.
You're not a confirmed bachelor.
I am a bachelor.
But you're not a confirmed bachelor.
No.
Meaning you're not going to be a bachelor.
No, not for the rest of my life.
You want to be a dad one day, I would think.
Definitely. Actually, there's a song on my album titled "Still My Father," which talks about forgiving my father. Actually, I came to the point where I forgave him, you know, for what not being there. One day I called him up and said, you know, Dad, I just want to let you know that I love you. Even though you weren't there for me, I want to be there for you as a son. And so it brought a healing into our relationship, actually.
Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Moon, Little Boy Blue and the Man in the Moon. Who was it who sang that? About, who was it? Harry Chapin, yeah.
Harry Chapin.
And it's a song about a father who just never had time for his son, and now he's an old man, his son doesn't have time for him.
Wow.
You're saying you're going to have time for your dad.
Yes.
How did he respond to that?
With tears, and he was really sorrowful. He was really remorseful, and he began to apologize and began to let me know that there were some hurts that he was dealing with himself.
Is he aware of what's happening with this album and this new trajectory of yours?
He is, and actually he's been very supportive. And he's not the kind of father that's like, okay, well now I'm in your life, can I ride your coattail kind of thing. No, he keeps his distance. He lets me know, hey, this is your career. I understand what you're doing, but I just want to support you. So it's worked out wonderfully.
Has he overcome his substance abuse issues?
He has. And he was a substance abuser for about 17 years. Huh. So he's been about 3 years clean now, actually.
Oh, that's terrific. Now,